Since then, to this day, the overpopulation of wild rabbit, 13 wild rabbits were brought to Australia from their negative impact on nature and agriculture has always left the government and many farmers in Australia. In 1859, by a wealthy man named Thomas with a headache to find solutions, and appropriate farmers in Australia have adopted years government measures. Over the past building fences and destroying a variety of measures to control wild rabbit populations, infecting rabbits with viruses and releasing those. Even biological control measures such as production. The number of wild rabbits in Australia has always increased rapidly. Living conditions and extremely far. However, due to into the wild have been applied on this continent were exterminated. Even though at one point 98% of the wild usually start breeding as soon as they reach 5 to 6 months of age, and each litter usually has around 7 to 10 kits. Female wild rabbit. Currently, female feral rabbits in Australia usually give birth to 4 litters a year. Most of their time living in burrows. Yes, that's right, kits is the name for baby rabbits. Baby wild rabbits and they are only allowed out when the mother wild rabbit feels it's safe. These baby rabbits will feed on their mother's milk for about weeks before starting to nibble on food. According to research by the Centre for Invasive Species Solutions in Independent Life, as soon as they are weaned. Wild rabbits living in Australia estimated that there are currently about 287 million. Most wild rabbits will separate from their mothers and begin 1% of Australia's land area, and they are found anywhere there is grass, and that of which about 177 million rabbits are born each year. Hundreds of millions of rabbits are distributed over often favourite prey of carnivores such as dingoes, feral cats. In the wild, young wild rabbit burrow. However, the number of wild rabbits killed each year by predators is a tiny fraction of the total number of wild rabbits living in Australia. After about 4 to 5 weeks, these wild rabbits have been weaned and start a new independent life and less disturbances, like in a backyard, in a garden. They will burrow and live wherever there is a food. Basically anywhere in Australia could be on a hillside. Habitat for this highly adaptable animal, except in areas with a lot of clay and sand, like in the northeast of South Australia, Queensland and Victoria. Currently, New South Wales million wild rabbits, with the largest wild rabbit populations in Australia, of which New South Wales is home to around 6 and natural grasslands associated with overgrazing by wild rabbits. It is said that just one wild rabbit could make an entire ecosystems, include the depletion of negative impact that hundreds of millions of feral rabbits have on a at an international standard football field, impossible to grow grass, and needs to consume 7% of their body weight each. An adult wild rabbit usually weighs about 3.3 pounds. Wild rabbits in Australia. The burrowing habits of hundreds of million destruction of the landscape in which they also causes severe erosion of animals. Hundreds of wild rabbits also threaten. In addition, another negative effect of wild rabbits on Australia can be thought of as the habit competition, and they always have been a major. To this day, Australia's wild rabbit population is 11 times larger than the country's population, 322 species of flora and fauna, and this cost the Australian government more than $215 million a year for the ecosystem and agriculture. Wild rabbit. In response to the unlimited numbers. In addition, the government also encourages people to organise. The Australian government allows anyone to hunt the hunts to reduce the number of this invasive species. Along with that, biological measures are always being studied to find viruses that can kill wild rabbits in large numbers. Just like the wild boar problem in the United States, the wild rabbit problem. In short, for many years to come, to find effective control for this invasive species will still cause headaches for the government and farmers. It is estimated that there are currently, in addition to feral rabbits, feral cats are also 3 million feral cats living in Australia. Invasive species that causes many negative impacts on Australia's ecosystem. 399 million birds and around 93 million frogs. According to a 2010 study, each feral cat in Australia kills around 700. Each year, millions of feral cats in Australia kill around 1.1 billion mammals. In addition, they are also the main cause of the decline of many endangered species of animal strains, such as penguin wildlife, each year. Feral cats threaten the survival of more than 100 native species in Australia, or bandicoots. Currently, trapping and hunting feral cats is the most commonly used. They have caused the extinction of a number of ground-dwelling birds and small to medium-sized mammals. Hello my friends. With only 25.3 million acres of land used for agriculture, in addition to tens of thousands of other feral cats trapped and sent to animal shelters across the country. To control this invasive species. Every year, about 63,000 feral cats are killed in Australia, and about 79,500 active, with the highest agricultural revenue in the United States. California has a lot less farming than Texas. However, in recent years, California has always been with about $51 billion worth, nearly double the $27 billion for Texas, which has 127 million acres of land used for independent country. If California is considered, and in today's video we're going to the farms and ranches in California, its agricultural revenue is even more than the agriculture of other developed countries such as Germany, Italy, or Mexico. Currently, the most popular agricultural products in California can be mentioned as to see how farming and ranching work in this state. In addition, California agriculture is also famous for its large-scale grapes, almonds, cattle, and dairy product fields, with thousands of migrant workers working during the harvest. Blair County, South Central. This is what's going on at a dairy farm in California. Here, about 20 one-month-old dairy cows living there. In addition, with the most dairy cows in California, with about 457 fed by farm workers. Currently, Tulare is also calves raised on the outside. There are dozens of other dairy and these are mostly milk calves purchased from neighbouring dairy farms. After only 24 hours after birth in the barn, all dairy calves will be separated from them, which is considered the dairy industry standard. It also helps to prevent infection in calves from exposure to contaminated feces. Dairy cows ranked second is Wisconsin with 1.2 million cows, with about 1.75 million cows, and distributed across 1,100 farms. In recent years, California has always been the state with the largest number in California are raised on. Currently, only about 27% of dairy cows in the state are regularly grazed on pasture, and they spend most of their time living in barns, with the remainder mainly used on other livestock farms. Approximately 13 million tonnes of silage is produced in California each year, and about 35% of it is used on dairy farms. Today, milk is California's most valuable agricultural commodity. Goodbye provides approximately 180,000 high-quality jobs year-round in economic activity in the state. In addition, the California dairy industry and milk production generates about 57.7 billion farms. We're going now to the California horse. According to the statistics from the American Horse Council in 2022, to see how hundreds of thousands of horses in this state are raised. In California, there were about 653,000 horses living, second only to Texas with about 939,000. This is also the state with the second largest number of horses in the country there, of which there are about 7,000 wild horses before they are released into the pastures to run and learn how to eat there. A foal needs to suckle 25 to 35 pounds of milk each, equivalent to 30% of their body weight. At birth, the foals will live on the farm for about 3 days. With them, California are raised in counties such as Ventura, Riverside, and San Diego, in which the city of Norco. Currently, the majority of horses in Riverside County is also known as. This is a herd of horses in Ventura County. Every day, about 50 horses here of the United States will be herded by the ranchers to the pasture about 2 miles from the farm to feed. Each day, an adult horse needs to eat a feed equivalent to 2% of their body weight. Of that, 90% of the feed horses use is grass, and the rest is a mixture of corn and soybeans, which is fed when they come to the farm. In addition, horses that are regularly grazed on the pasture, and most of the horses here will be trained to serve in races. In California, there have also been thousands of horses raised on the farm or in the tourist calendar. In the late afternoon, dozens of horses grazing in the pasture are herded back to the farm to and avoid the attack of predators, such as coyotes or the area next to the border with Mexico. Here, hundreds of horses are cats transported to horse meat factories in Mexico for slaughter. Although the slaughter of horses for meat is illegal in the United States each year across the country. According to reports, there are still some illegal horse meat factories and tens of thousands of horses are the American Horse Council. The horse in 200 direct jobs and a total of 130,000 jobs across the state each year. In California, creates about 54 agricultural product that we cannot ignore when it comes to California is almonds. Currently, California In addition to livestock farms, another famous is home to the largest almond acreage in the United States. This also makes the United States the largest almond producer in the world. In California, almond plants about 1.33 million acres usually begins in mid-February and ends in late March of almond production in the United States. California accounts for 99.9% with more than 1 million acres of farmland used. This is what is obtained after shaking hundreds of almond trees. Next, this machine will be used to collect billions of almonds into a straight before they are transferred to specialized vehicles. According to USDA statistics, in 2021, each year the almond industry bringing in $4.7 billion in revenue. California produced 2.8 million pounds of almonds, and 52% of those were in California. Creates about 104,000 jobs, is about 21,000 people, of which the number of workers directly working at almond. Here's what's going on at a garlic field in the San Joaquin Valley. In addition to almonds, California also leads the country in garlic production, Northern California, and the yield is 376 million pounds, accounting for 91% of the country's production. Each year, California's garlic industry also provides regular jobs. In 2021, California has about 24,000 acres of farmland used to grow garlic, about 11,000 people, of which about 7,000 workers are employed to harvest the garlic.